Hello everyone, my name is Kristen. Today we are going to be doing a tutorial, the first of many, on how to make a design or a illustration in a design program like Corel Painter. Um, Corel Painter 2015 is the program that I use for a lot of my realistic pieces. Um, It's also what I use for just, messing around, general, just fun type of stuff. But it is also what I use for professional work, if I'm actually doing a piece for a client or anything like that. This is the program that I use. Before we get started, I did want to thank Lauren Radness, I believe it is the correct name. I didn't want to pull it up on my screen. But Lauren Radness for her Powder Blue Tang, who is the subject of our picture today. So um, thank you, Lauren. And if I got your name wrong, I'm so sorry. I will correct myself in later videos. But um, wanted to make sure I thanked her for letting us use this beautiful picture, as it is very beautiful. Um, so as you can see here, I already got started, basically because the program that I use crashed twice. I might be using a different program in the future if I start to do these more frequently, which I might. So we'll see. But let's see if this works. If it does, then, we'll just chug along. But, the first thing I wanted to do is go ahead and show you a few features. So just to kind of get started, uh, let's take a look here. Here are brushes. They're not all brushes, technically, um, but some of them are. Like if you're a fan of acrylics, um, you know, there's plenty of stuff. It will show you down at the bottom kind of what the effect of the brush will be. Um, the yellow shows that it will blend. So if you have um, any kind of paint already on the picture, it will blend with that paint and create a different color. Um, so say we do blue, and say I wanted to do green on top of it. It may blend right here and create a different color. It may mask it, but as you can see, I may not have chosen the best colors here. As you can see, it's going to, here we go. Yellow's a good color. Let me do a lighter color. It's going to combine, it's going to make this like, if you're an artist, you understand how blending works. And it kind of does what it would do in real life on paper. So let me go ahead and erase. So yeah, that's one of the brushes. There's air brushes. There are, just different styles. These are the blenders. It's, just different styles of blending. Um, it's similar to stumps, painted stumps. If you're familiar with charcoal, um, you probably use stumps a lot. They're just basically little paper sticks that you smudge things around with. Um, and they have blenders for other, you know, artistic areas as well, like paint, brushes, blending brushes, and whatnot. There's chalks here, there's watercolor, there's different eraser types. Gouache is my favorite. I probably said that wrong and annoyed people, but gouache is my favorite. Um, my favorite brush is right here. It's my favorite. Oh, nope, I lied. One of these are. You'll see later. But gouache is typically my favorite. I'll work with the acrylics every now and then. I like the effect. And they do have an effect. The impasto is really good if you want a layered effect. And it kind of shows you below how it kind of layers up or cuts in. It does stack on top of each other. If you have a lot of paint on the canvas, it will stack on top of each other. And you can choose canvas types, which I'll show you in a little bit. There's inks, oils, if you prefer oils. I was never trained in oils too much. I know how to do the basics with oils, but for me they're a bit muddy. So that's one thing I'm still improving on. But that's pretty much it. Watercolor is really pretty. And here it spreads out just like watercolor might. Show a darker color to kind of let you see a little bit better. So it goes on like a brush and it fades out like watercolor. And it shows you the grain of the canvas. So those are the brushes. If you're an artist, you probably recognize all of that. But let's look at canvas. You can change the lighting of your canvas. I don't mess with that, but if you want to work with specific lighting, you can. And it can also save that lighting as well. Impasto, you can hide whether or not you want it to show the physical look to it. If you want it to look raised, you can have it set to that. There's rulers. There's more precise stuff if you want guides. You can have a grid. You can have all that fun stuff. I'm going to turn all of that off. Some people like that. I only use that kind of stuff if I'm working very precise. I'm not going to use that for this. There's some more technical color stuff. Lots of layer stuff, lots of brush. You could create your own brushes, I believe. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to show. Yes, here. So there's a lot of different stuff you can apply to the picture. There's a lot of stuff that you can't do with a regular, just like drawing on paper, which is kind of nice. It's if you wanted to, add a little bit extra pop to your image. Some people don't like having an after editing of artwork that's been done, but in the professional realm, if you're a professional artist that does digital work, you learn very quick that a lot of people do it. A lot of illustrators that I know, I didn't know that you could, that it was allowed, technically speaking, when you were doing this kind of work to adjust like the contrast, but say you don't get the contrast quite right, you can up the contrast. That's something that if you have it on paper, you can't necessarily do. And it's great to have it perfect on paper, but if you're someone that you want to do this uh, you know, and you want to get it, right. Uh, it's a nice feature to have. I don't use this 9 times out of 10. I only use this kind of stuff when I am doing um, professional pieces that I am printing, or professional pieces that I am sending to clients. That's the only reason that I would use like um, any of this stuff. I can't think of anything else. You can create a new canvas. I'll show you by making this. You can choose the paper type. There are different textures, and they do influence your paper. Um, if you wanted to paint on wood, it is drastically different than regular paper. Um, there are some more uh, fine textures that I prefer, and it makes a difference. So if you think it's all just this is it, no, there's so much more that goes into this. You can change the color that you're working on top of. So if you don't like the plain white, you can change it to, um, a light, gray or a sepia tone, something. Um, and they have presets and whatnot. I like to have a high resolution. I'm not going to make that right now. So that explains kind of the basic features. There's a lot of different things over here that I'm not going to explain, simply because I'm not going to use them. I like pretty straightforward stuff. I like just using the brush, the eraser. The dropper is good for just getting a general area of color. So this is a general area of blue. I could spend all day using the mixer and just having it here and just going back and forth and mixing it and ensuring that it kind of matches up, or I can just grab it with a grabber and it's right there. I could spend all day just mixing this up until it matches, or I could just go like this. Now, some people may say, oh, but if you're grabbing it from the picture and just putting it here, where's the artistic ability in that? Well, here's the thing. You can grab all the colors you want. You can grab all of them everywhere. But if you don't know how to place them, if you don't know how to blend them properly, it's going to look like a hot mess. It's going to look like mud, and it's not going to look pretty. If you don't know how to pick the colors properly, if you just say, oh, this is yellow right here, but if you move this along, you see, you know, there's green that popped up. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different yellows here. So you have to pick the right yellow to use. You have to pick the right tone to use. You have to use the right one that complements this area. You know, this area um, has a bunch of different blues that moves around quite a bit. So you have to pick the one that you want to use that's going to complement this area over here. Then you have to choose, hey, this is kind of a lighter blue than this. How far should I do this light blue type of deal? So there's a lot that goes into it, and I know that some people will complain about, the dropper. I know that some people will complain about the dropper, and, you know, one thing I learned really quick going into design is that, yes, you can use the mixer, and you can sit here, and you can just fiddle with it and do it by hand, and just kind of, that kind of matches it. You know. I know how to do it by hand. I know how to do color matching. I've done it before. I know how to make gouache by hand to match palettes. I know how to do it. I know how to I know how to do all this already. So if there's a tool that can make it a little bit easier on me, I'm going to use it. If there was a tool available to artists, traditional artists, I could almost guarantee you that people would line up for that. Um, you know, so you can complain about it. I'm not going to worry too much if you really think that's too big of a deal. Um, and I think once we get into the blending, once we get into the color, you'll see more and more what I mean by if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to turn to mud. Because little details like this little tiny line here, yeah, um, this line isn't going to be there by the time um, we're done with this design. So how are we going to differentiate between, you know, this blue and this blue? I mean, they're very, very small differentiation. There's a very, very small gap between them. How do we differentiate? We have to be very careful. So, you can complain about me using the dropper. That's fine. I really don't care. Um, it takes skill to do this, and I'm not going to say that it takes any more or less skill to do it by hand. It takes just as much skill to do this no matter what. So uh, yes, it does take a little bit more practice if you don't know what you're doing to do this by hand. Um, but I do know how to do this by hand, so it's not a it's not like I'm too chuffed about it. Um, so yeah, so we're gonna do that next. We'll do the colors and then we'll blend. We might do that all in one episode. I might do basic colors and then um, shoot the episode while I blend. Not sure yet. Um, but I did want to kind of show you guys the setup here. Um, didn't want to overwhelm you. We'll talk more about these little setups here to kind of understand layers and the little tools that the designers use. Basically, we'll cover a lot more of this in the next episode. If you have any questions, let me know. I will probably post this and then take a short break while I work and do general uh, business. Uh, and if you have any questions or want anything specifically addressed, um, let me know and we can cover it in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will have another episode up pretty soon.